All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. I want to thank everyone for being here. As you can see from the turnout, there is a cross-section of Fresno County law enforcement, elected officials, and concerned citizens who are strongly opposing Prop 57. We do not have the big money that Governor Brown has, so we are relying on a grassroots effort to inform citizens and count on citizens talking to citizens and neighbors talking to neighbors about the dangers of Prop 57. Prop 57 is dangerous for public safety. Prop 57 will do the exact opposite of what the governor claims it will. It is not about public safety. How can the early release of dangerous felons be good for our community or for public safety? What kind of message is this sending to the criminal element? Prop 57 will empower criminals. They will keep committing crimes and continue with the dangerous and destructive behaviors that landed them in prison in the first place. Prop 57 is titled to fool the voters into thinking there are requirements for release or that inmates will have to meet certain criteria. None of that is true. The Fresno Bee editorial board stated it accurately. It is hard to imagine a more poorly conceived or poorly written ballot measure than Prop 57. The East Bay Times states the proposition is sloppily written. It fails to clearly identify crimes that would fall under it and how an inmate's criminal history would affect eligibility for parole. Brown or other reform advocates need to try again. Before you vote, do your research. Go to one of the many websites that outlines the truth of Prop 57. Do not be fooled by the governor's last-ditch attempt before he leaves office to dump these criminals back onto our streets. Ask yourself, why does someone who committed a domestic violence, rape by intoxication, rape of an unconscious person, human trafficking that involves sexual acts with minors, a drive-by shooting, assault with a deadly weapon, arson causing great bodily injury, lewd acts on a child, hate crimes causing physical injury, supplying a gun to a gang member, or failing to register as a sex offender deserve early release. These are the inmates that Governor Brown wants to send back to us, right here onto the streets of Fresno. Say no to Governor Brown and his attempt to manipulate the voters. Say no to Prop 57. I'd like now to give Sheriff Margaret Mims an opportunity to speak to you. Sheriff?
Thank you, DA Smittcamp. You know, as first responders, we experience firsthand the horror of crimes that are committed. Our victims live it, and they'll live it for the rest of their lives if they live. They will always remember the smell, the sight, the sound. And law enforcement respond, and we see that also. As we move forward further in the justice system, victims become more and more backseat drivers, and the offender becomes the focus, and that's backwards. We need to protect past victims and future victims by voting no on Prop 57. The release of thousands of felons, thousands of sentenced inmates who go to our state prisons are there for a reason, and that's to protect our citizens and prevent future victims. That's what we're all about. Vote no on Prop 57 and keep your community safer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheriff. Before we have Chief Dyer come up and say a few words, I would like you to note that there are several people who are chiefs of police of all the outlying areas and all the outlying police agencies here in Fresno. These people are not fillers. These people are not just people we ask to stand behind us. These are people who are leading law enforcement officials, our elected officials, members of our board of supervisors, high-ranking officials in Fresno County law enforcement. This is how important this is.
I want to thank the district attorney for hosting this news conference today, because it is perhaps one of the most important news conferences that we have had in the city and county of Fresno. And it's to defeat Proposition 57 and to make sure that the truth gets out, because there is too much false narrative going around in our state today regarding the benefits of Proposition 57. In fact, I heard a radio announcement the other day from an individual who claimed to be 20 years in law enforcement, talking about the benefits of Proposition 57, which was absolutely a lie. You know, over the last 5 years, there's been an incredible attempt to downsize the prison population in the state of California. And much of that stemmed from a lawsuit that was initiated against the state of California for poor inmate health care as a result of overcrowding within the prison system. Since that time, there's been a movement to downsize the prison population. Back in 2011, the prison population in the state of California hovered around 173,000 inmates. Today, fast forward, that population hovers around 128,000 inmates. And when you consider that we have downsized our prison population by more than 25% in a 5-year period, it's no wonder why we have increased victimization within our communities across California. In the city of Fresno, we had 4 consecutive years of decreases of violent crime, a 4%, 6%, and back-to-back years of 7% declines. Unfortunately, last year, we had a 16% increase in violent crime, and this year, a 14.6% increase in violent crime in the city of Fresno. And the reason is simple. We have more individuals that should be in prison that are out in our communities victimizing people. And downsizing the prison population further by Proposition 57 is not the way to go. We have learned our mistakes from Assembly Bill 109 realignment. We've learned the mistakes and the flaws of Proposition 47 and the number of individuals that should be in prison that are not today. And 57 is AB 109 and Proposition 47 on steroids. And that is why we need to stand together in the state of California and defeat this flawed proposition of 57 and reduce victimization in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Dyer. I think it's noteworthy to pay attention to the fact that the Fresno City Council and the Board of Supervisors here in the County of Fresno have both passed resolutions against Prop 57, and many of the cities in the outlying areas of the county have also passed resolutions against Prop 57, encouraging their citizens to vote no.
The Chief teed it up just right. Fool me once, AB 109. Fool me twice, Proposition 47, a horrible proposition. Don't be fooled the third time. Vote no on Proposition 57. Like the Chief said, 57 is 47 on steroids. Vote no on 57.
Next we have a person, a father, a citizen, an advocate, and someone who can speak truly and literally, not just from work experience, not just from research, not just from stuff that he's read in a book, but from living the life as a victim of crime. Mike Reynolds is here with us, and his daughter Kimber was brutally and horribly murdered. He is what many people refer to as the father of 3 strikes. He has been an advocate for victims for decades, and we are honored to have him here today. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you. This 57, in addition to being referred to as Prop 47 and steroids, it's also been referred to as the Jailbreak Initiative, the Hug a Thug Initiative. Every subtitle of this, spells a very, very bad law, and rarely do average citizens have a chance to actually impact the laws that we see around us. This is the one time that we really do. We should certainly act on it. Feeding repeat offenders with more victims is not my idea of criminal therapy, and that's exactly what Prop 57 does. Nearly every night in the news, there's a violent act that we're informed that the suspect has an extensive criminal history, and we're supposed to put on our surprise face. As California crime laws are being taken down one after another, we are seeing California crime rates going up at over twice as fast as the rest of the nation. Here comes Prop 57 and dumps tens of thousands of repeat offenders, all with serious and violent prior convictions, onto our streets and guts our most effective crime laws. I do this the old-fashioned way. This is like pouring gasoline on a forest fire. 57 is the most dangerous initiative to ever be placed on a California ballot. Please protect your family, protect yourself. Vote no on Prop 57.